to front that you can see him as well. Yeah, I'm very happy to have a guest again this year. It's almost kind of tradition because he already participated last year as well. Martin Ebner, he is professor at the university, Technical University in Graz, and he's very engaged in a lot of projects, going from writing a book about a new way of learning and teaching. Open educational resources is a huge topic where he's working. Then he's running a MOOC, a couple of MOOCs, and organizing a couple of MOOCs here in Austria. And he's some kind of, the best guy to hear about innovations and new ways of learning and teaching. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, I guess you will introduce yourself anyway and let us know a little bit more about yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the nice words. Can you hear me all? It's okay, so yeah, because I have otherwise switched to the slides and then my picture will begin. Okay, then I'd like to share my desktop first of all. This one, yes. So hopefully, so you see my slides, yeah. Yeah, thank you again for the nice introduction. Thank you also for the invitation, also to speak to you. We spoke beforehand, and I choose this kind of title, Web 2.0 Technologies and Beyond in Higher Education, because I will tell you a little things what is going on here in Austria, what is the research side, and what does I think is the future of education and what we are doing in higher education. First of all, a short introduction of myself. You see, I'm in the virtual world in nearly every platform. I have, of course, an own blog. I have a Facebook account. I have a Twitter account. Maybe I was one of the very first persons in Austria who has a Twitter account since 2007. And so I have also a homepage, a Google Plus account, whatever. And for sure you will find me on the web, and you can also contact me in any way. It doesn't matter if you send me an email or just a tweet or whatever. I react also in many different platforms through the idea that the communication is the key, as well as learning, as also for exchange and research issues. And my main research focus, normally I'm working as head of department. The department is called Social Learning at the Graz University of Technology, and I'm responsible for all students as well as teachers, lecturers, or also administrative staff if they are doing anything with technology-enhanced learning. So it means beginning with doing the content, ebooks or whatever, just up to platforms like learning management systems and so on. And my second job is at the Institute of Information Systems and Computer Media. That is, therefore, I'm senior researcher. And the senior researcher, I have my strong topics on e-learning, mobile learning, as Thomas already told, open education resources. Learning analytics is also one of the most emerging topics, and there we are doing research, master thesis, and of course also research projects. And that is my favorite picture, you see, because I think it expressed as how we like to work. So we will like to use technology beyond learning. That means, of course, learning means also that you need paper and pencil, and it is a cognitive task, but we can enhance it with technology. Technology beside a learner, and we like to help him, to support him, not only the learner, but also the teacher. This slide is just show there are many buzzwords outside. So we began, I think, in 1995 with e-learning. That means that we mainly use the web for learning and teaching issues. Then we changed it to e-learning 2.0. E-learning 2.0 means that we are using Web 2.0 technologies for learning and teaching. And then we have another buzzword with mobile learning. This is called the M-learning. And of course, that means that you use mobile devices for teaching and learning, as up to the smartphones today. Then two new buzzwords are coming up that are P-learning and U-learning. That means pervasive learning and ubiquitous learning. That is really learning at any time, anywhere, and using different kind of devices, up to wearable devices, Google Glasses, and something on. That is also kind of research today. Maybe a statement of Antonio Fumora in the beginning, in 2006. He said, it's not about matching traditional models with existing tools anymore. So if you think of e-learning, you should not think, I have a traditional kind of teaching and then I bring it to the technology. It's much more to develop new pedagogical models and take this web environment and use it in maybe a complete new way and allow things that we can't do in the past. Yes, this is the slide, mostly situation, at least in Austrian universities. We are more or less closed castles, so that means we are university, there is the next university, and we haven't any exchange between the university, between the learners, and the main idea of the web is completely different. We're thinking about open, we get all content to any time from anywhere, and so it's the main task of the university of the future is how can we open it and exchanges between universities, between learners to enhance their knowledge in the final stage. There is a little sketch of the current situation of my university, so you can see also how we address different kind of platforms. The blue one is the so-called administration system. There is all lectures placed. So that means the students have to enroll the lectures he gets, so he's marked there, and he has all the appointments, scheduling, and something like that. Then in the middle, the gray one is our big learning management system. We are using an own system. Most universities at the world are using here Moodle. And then we have on the right side the blogosphere. We are using currently the ELGG system. And the only thing between is we have an exchange via LDAP or HTTP protocols, so that we just know the user is just the user of the university, but there are different three systems. Above you see there is the World Wide Web. You know all the platforms like Flickr, YouTube, Twitter, Delicious, whatever. And of course, it must is the idea that a teacher like to use it for his or her lecture. And then we have to think about how we can integrate all this stuff also in our learning management system, because it doesn't make any sense because if the students is using different platforms and had no real overview. So that means the learning management system, that's the main idea, provides an overview of different web activities, and there is a kind of middle point of the whole idea. And above you see the very big challenge of our department. There are multiple devices. So nowadays everyone has a laptop, a tablet, or a smartphone, or whatever, and he would like to access with this device all this stuff. And that is also from a technical point of view not the easiest task. So here are some examples from the web outside of what the teachers are doing. For example, this is a lecturer of architecture. Students have to go outside and have to share photos from our town, and to share it as a via Flickr, for example. That is sharing YouTube videos, lectures on TeacherTube. Here's a lecture of, I think, chemistry. And that is an example of a wiki, where also students are working exactly on this wiki, bringing together content concerning a topic of civil engineering. A little bit more complicated is this kind of sketch. Also, one of the major issues of our department is recording of lecture talks, or recording of different kind of presentations. Sometimes it will be just recorded and provided to the students with the learning management system, and sometimes we have also the go live outside. So this is similar to what we are doing here now, that also there is a live broadcasting also to the students outside, especially in the field of lifelong learning. There is a difference. You can see also we make a difference between also podcasting and live streaming. Podcasting means that we, for example, more or less screen your your interface of the computer, as well as the sound, and sometimes also the picture of the lecturer. That is just sometimes. Then we just screen it, recorded it, and provide it via the learning management systems or via iTunes, for example. That is also an issue at our universities, that we are using iTunes for providing videos. And then you can, as students, come with multiple devices or via the web or via an RSS reader, and you get exactly this recording. And it is how broadcasting works. So how does it work, for example, in the lecture room? In the lecture room, we have this concept. We have a so-called smartboard. It's a pen display, and it's just, how should I talk? It's just a kind of silly interface. That means it's just an interface with a pen, and you can write on the interface, and you have to put your laptop, you connect your laptop via an USB, and then you get the interface of your laptop on this pen display, and you can write on your PowerPoint slides or whatever. And we take this picture to the projector, and because you have a running computer in the background, you can also record what you're doing on this pen display. And this is the example of architecture, where some examples and exercises were done and written and calculated. And afterwards, the students get the whole recording in the learning management system. You're going to see a picture of such an example, where we have prepared sketches in beforehand. Well, the students also get these prepared sketches, and then he can write all, or he can look to the slides, and the teacher is drawing on them. That is a screenshot or an example of the lecture hall. Where you can see, so there is the projector. It's a very big lecture hall, I think up to 350 students, and the lecturer is explaining how the arrows, for example, are going. That so every man is a kind of force and something like that. Yes, and the very interesting thing is that if we have once recorded, we are able to convert it to different formats. Then you can also bring it to the smartphones. That it means that nowadays, so many of our lectures are just recorded, and students can watch it on their smartphones, even if they are just waiting for the bus or they are in the train. And we have many evaluations, and students exactly told us that they are using it when they are on the move, and also, of course, on their smartphones. The second thing is this live streaming. I explained beforehand. We can also stream our lectures. We have an own streaming server. That means if it should be streamed, we take the picture of the laptop as well as the audio and sometimes the video, take it to the streaming server, and from there students have access to a live access of the lecture. We have also, have to look, there are some examples, for example, of the live streaming. We can make it Google Hangout, but we have an own system. So we will switch to, this year, to Matterhorn, for example. This is the most well-known open source platform for live streaming. And we have also an automated system. That means that we don't need any software at the laptop of the lecturer. There is just a hardware component, and this hardware component is directly in the lecture hall. The lecturer goes to the lecture hall, just put his laptop on the projector and press a button or recording or live streaming, and afterwards all the stuff is running automatically. And this is, of course, you have to do it in these rooms where this hardware is placed, but it will be more and more established. So that was the kind of streaming. Then we also doing, for example, blogging. That was this ELGG system I showed before, the blogosphere. Here is an example of a blog, and then this blog is a video embedded, and there we can do kind of e-portfolio with students or something like that. So there are all features if you have a blog, and this can be also done by a group blog where you add different users, and they have to write also over the lecture there. That is an example of widgets. What can be done within the learning management system? If you remember, that is a kind of bringing back all the stuff what is outside. And on the right side, you see, for example, this blog, latest from GOS, whatever this means. And it is a kind of widget. That means we are, for example, in this case, are doing microblogging outside. And students, some students, not all, have to microblog, for example, during the lecture. And if I go as student as well as a teacher to the main interface of the learning management system, I see what is currently happening outside in the microblogging system. And this thing you can also do with Flickr or whatever you need. So we are bringing back the stuff outside. Then I have some slides prepared because that is, I would say, more or less the situation right now. We have also different things outside and working also for years now. Every teacher use that what he really wants to. And now the question, what is the future about? And it's a very funny picture, not of my university, but sometimes I feel like that because as I'm also teaching about 300 students of informatics, and normally I'm standing also for 150 at least laptops in my front, and I have to teach students maybe who I never see during the whole lecture. The main issue is that we have the upcoming thing is that we get more and more content outside. Videos, photos, text lecture books, or whatever. And what does this mean if we have, what does mean learning in times of abundance? That means if you have very, very many different kind of input files, and if you can say, okay, I didn't understand, for example, how the teacher is teaching to me at the university, I just go to YouTube and just watch a lecture of another professor, and maybe he's explaining it a little bit better, whatever. And it's a very interesting thing. So I believe it's not the personalized content, because so many of the last research issues of the last year was that we have to provide students the appropriate content, but it's not the content alone. It has to be also the personalization of the whole learning process. That means also what does he like or she likes most? How can he or she learn in a very efficient way? And there are three things I get. We have to take a very close look. This means to community, to collaboration, and to individuality. So we have to go to much more communities. We have to collaborate with each other, and we have also to think what is the strength of the students, what is this individual learning process. And I divided also for the future thing. Also I like to look at three perspectives to the learning process. I would like to the human, I would like to the technology, what is the future here, and what does this mean for learning? Because also if we go to the market and just looking what is the new technology about, you can also think of what can you use for learning, for example. So first of all, I would like to address the technology. What is the devices of tomorrow? That is also a very, very interesting thing. You see also a kind of one laptop per child project in Austria. This is a couple of years ago. We started in the first class, so that means the children up to 6 years, and they got a laptop for the first time. This one laptop per child, and the very exciting question is what's happening if they can't reading, they can't writing, but they have a laptop, for example, and today, also this class is already over, and we have also some exciting things here. Then we have surface computing on the right side, for example. That is also a very interesting step. That is much more the multi-touch technology. That means that also different people can watch on only one screen and can share their ideas, can bring their files inside and something like that. On the right top, you see, for example, this man has just a camera and has just his finger, and he's operating. So with his finger, there is a kind of mechanism, and on any a surface he would like to think that the camera is on his body, and he's just interacting with his two fingers. So with the stuff he's wearing with him is a kind of wearable device. And then, you know, Google Glass is just for the release maybe in this year or in the beginning of the next year, and so that means that the glass devices are coming up and bringing us content nearly on the fly. Then we take in human, what have done the last year on the human side. So I don't think I have to explain it very much here. That is the most biggest social media platform, where I don't know 20 million pictures in every 20 minutes are uploaded and discussed anyway. And of course, all our students are in there. Also, I have, for example, a survey of our freshmen, and we see that 80% of our students are on a daily basis active in this social media platform and is doing something. But it means also social media. It doesn't not only mean Facebook, but you have also this kind of stuff of WhatsApp, and there are also some new apps arising now where people are connected and working together. And they do it also for learning. So there are many, many learning groups there, and they are each changing in a very different way. And that is also very reasonable for the whole learning process. Then the second biggest platform is microblogging, is so Twitter. Twitter is a very strange thing of exchange, for example. It's what we have done is you see on the left side, also this slides from the presentation, and on the right side you see, for example, there is the Twitter stream to this presentation, so that you bring more or less the ideas, the exchange, what you are doing in the Etherpad to the public, so that everyone can see, for example, what people are discussing on Twitter. They're enhancing, for example, the presentation. They have some hints and something like that, and all what you, for example, are noticing currently on your paper and pencil, that can be brought also to the virtuality and can be shared to anyone. And that was one of the first tries, also with Twitter, for example. We have also the stuff of real-time collaboration. That means Google Drive, or what you're doing with Etherpad, Google Docs. That means this is a very, very impressive thing, because that can't be done 10 years ago. You never have a possibility to write together in a collaborative way, and in such a manner that you just share an Etherpad and are writing articles or reports or whatever. Yes, and what does this mean for learning? If we put these technologies over the changing human minds together, then I think there are more or less three very big issues we are facing in the future. The first one is mobile. I will explain it a little bit later on. The second thing is open, and the third thing is personal. What does this mean, this mobile one? Of course, it is an own talk, but we have different numbers of apps outside. So there's people have smartphones in their pockets. They are able to install nearly anything on his smartphones, and they can also do it for, of course, for learning. What are the examples here? So we are doing a mobile applications lecture here. Is, for example, math memory, where two people are playing memory together, and one has a calculation, and the other one has the result, and they have to exchange their thoughts, and they have to, for example, also if they want success, they have to collaborate, for example. On the right top, you see, for example, ebooks. That it means we can nowadays bring all the stuff also on these tablets, but we cannot do it in a very traditional way. We can much more enhance it. We have the possibility to integrate videos. We have interactive objects or whatever, so that you have much more than just a book. You have also a book where you can exchange different exercises. In the middle, there is a big issue of mobile is game-based learning. It's just a revival of game-based learning. You bring just small apps to the smartphones and can doing something where you just make games, for example. Maybe that is much more fun for people to learn in such a way. Yes, that's the next thing is open. You know, all the stuff It's a little bit in the kind of MOOCs. Harvard University and as MIT have 60 million venture capital provided to provide classes online for free. That is really, really a big amount of money. And the main thing about it is that since then, more or less the whole world is discussing, should we also offer or should our university offer also a kind of open and free courses? And what's the idea behind it? Can we address different kind of students? And is this better for global learning, that we can exchange ideas and so on? What have we done? For example, the first issue was we have a very strong focus on open educational resources, as also at the university. The first thing we did was we provided some of our lectures in iTunes for free, and this was, I guess, in 2010 or something like that. And the interesting thing about this, it was the iPhone application development in German, and we have, for example, 22,000 downloads per week. It's just because we provide it for free. And this is, of course, a very, very interesting issue, because you address so many people if you give the stuff outside and help others to learn, for example, making iPhone applications. And that was the main idea behind. Then we started in this year in March also our own MOOC platform. It's called imoocs.it. It's of course only in German, because also we address more or less our students, and that is a platform where different kind of open online courses can be located, and students, as well as, I don't know, people from outside, also retired persons or whatever, can enroll and make a course which is provided by the university. And the main thing in the background is that our MOOC platform, for example, just provided open educational resources, because also if you take a look to Harvard or MIT, then this courses are for free. That's true, but free doesn't mean that there are online after the end of the course. That is a big issue, because also you can run the course at the MIT, but if the course ends, then it will be closed afterwards. And we are doing not in such a way. We said we have a course. The course has a start and a beginning and an end, and you can run the course. And this during this time, the course will be, there are tutors, there is a lecturer, and he will help you through the discussion forum. Afterwards, there is, of course, no professor, no tutor, but all the content will be provided also on the platform, and you can get access again and again. That is just a screenshot of one of our courses. You see on the left side, there are the weekly issues. That means, for example, in this kind, we have a course about e-learning, more or less. We have an introduction, then learning series, media and learning, then all the copyright issues, open education resources, mobile learning, social media, and so on. And each week consists of at least one video. Then we have additional material, presentations, lecture material, and so on. And of course, one quiz per week. And the students can do the quizzes afterwards, and if they succeed in the quizzes with up to 75% of all quizzes, then he get a kind of assessment in the background. That is also all, and we are just providing here things. We have done this e-learning course with more than 800 participants for 8 weeks, and as mentioned before, it had a CC license. That means that it's a open educational resource. The next thing is the personal one. Personal means that we are also addressing things like personal learning environments. That is the main idea in the background is that you as learner, for example, maybe have an email account, a Twitter account, Facebook account, you have some learning objects, you have YouTube videos or whatever, and you have the lecture itself. And this does mean that you have to think about how you can manage all this stuff that you need for this lecture. And therefore, we provided a personal learning environment. I think it's 4 years now, and that is a screenshot of the personal learning environment. In this personal learning environment, there are so-called widgets. And each widget you can compare this kind of app. That means this environment provided different kind of apps, and you can say, okay, for example, I like to have my Twitter account, my Facebook account, and I like to see all the files the lecturer provided within this course, and I need, for example, a kind of website or whatever, and you can place it on your desktop. That means that all these widgets are just on your desktop, with the idea that you can manage all what you need for just one lecture on one desktop, for example. You see, you can also do different kind of desktops and interfaces, and you can exchange all the widgets and whatever. So it's really the same kind of things you can do with apps, and just on the desktop, for example. Then is also a very interesting thing, the hint to interactive mass education. That is a big problem of higher education. And what does this mean? That the main problem is if you go in big lecture halls with up to 100 or 200 students, then the interactivity is decreasing dramatically. So nobody is asking you, you don't know have the students understand it, and so on. And therefore we also thinking about how we can enhance interactive mass education, and we build also some tools about it. For example, a kind of fast survey, or you can also say in real time what does it feel about, and is too fast a lecture, and so on. The last thing is what I like to hint is that was this research issue of learning analytics, and learning analytics means data. And what can be done, for example, is just a short example to get you an idea what learning analytics can do. Is we, for example, a trainer for the multiplication table. This doesn't matter. You have a web interface, you have an apps with Android or iPhone, and you're just doing all your calculations. In the background, we have a very, very big database, and we exactly know from each child what was right and what was wrong. And so what we can do now is to provide data about it, also how people, for example, learning the multiplication table. And that is a screenshot a little time back again. And you see, for example, the red ones. That means, for example, 6 multiplied with 8 is the most difficult question of the multiplication table. If it in the background, we have currently about more than 600,000 calculations, more than 4,000 students or school children, and therefore we can very, very exactly say what is the main issues of the multiplication table and what have to be exercised. And that can be done not only in an overall view, it can be done for each school, for each class, for each person. And that means that maybe the future is that you are not only learning the multiplication table, but you can also exercise exactly just one calculation with one children, because you know that's the problem of the children, for example. Yes, you can many things doing with such kind of data. For example, on the left side, you see here the most difficult questions. There is this picture, for example, and the red ones is the responding time. That means we also know that this calculation needs the most time to think about. So that this is a very, very strong correlation between the difficulty and the needed time for it. So this is more or less the end of my talk. The future is digital. I guess you agree to me. And I just give you some thoughts with you. A learning environment of the future has to support the individual learning needs of the learner. This was this personal learning environment, has to support the lecturers as well. This, of course, because you have to provide it to the students. You have communication and collaboration as very, very big issues, and it will be completely mobile. That means that this, we have to think about this. There are so many different devices, and you can do it really at any time you would like to. So this was the end. And thank you for your attention. And if there is any question, just ask, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Martin, first of all, thank you very much for the presentation. We just had at the end a little bit of technical problem here because our network was dying. So we were out for a couple of minutes, but right now we are back online. It's fine. There are a couple of questions in the back channel on the Etherpad. Maybe first we could address them.
Yes, just on the back, where did you put the questions that I can find it? On the very top, yes. Yes. Can you hear me? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no sound. Thomas. One, two, three, four. So, I have to wait. One, two, three. Can you hear me? That seems to be the technical problem again. Okay, Thomas, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we had to switch to the cable one. Sorry. Yeah, we had some network problem, but right now it should work fine.
Yeah. Okay. In the meantime, I read the questions. The first one is, which wiki do you use? We used in the very first run the T-wiki. That was the reason was that there is a user management behind. We don't use the media wiki because there was no real kind of user management, and I couldn't address exactly what students belong to which class. In the meanwhile, we have also some media wikis because they are much better in the usability. That is just the issue. If you take this one or this one, if you need more usability and it should look like a little bit nicer, then we take more or less the media wiki and provide it only for a couple of students, so with protected with passwords. And if you need, we have a very huge amount of students, we just take the T-wiki. And sometimes the lectures outside also use the PB wiki because you can get just space online, so you don't have to do it on your own server, for example. Do you store the videos in the learning management system? Is currently now, yes. We did it since this summer because we are now changing to Matterhorn, and in future we are storing it on this Matterhorn server because it is for sure this problem that you get, of course, much more data, and the most of the data is just the videos, and you begin to struggle with the download of the students because many students are downloading the videos, and then you going in really big problems what the server means, and therefore we have already now the streaming server, and we will begin to switch the videos to the streaming server, which much stronger. And for the MOOCs, we didn't store any video, we all put on YouTube. That was the main idea of open education resources, to say we have we will provide all things after the course in any case. That means we can also put all the videos on YouTube, for example, that we have not think about our service. The name of this open source learning streaming platform is Matterhorn. I also put it exactly here. This one is the open source platform, and now in a version I get 2 point anything, and it's much more stable than the version 1. So regarding the quality of the digital classroom results, is there any evaluation of students' result? Yes, we have done many different evaluations and studies, and for example, for a recording, students love it, and we have questions evaluation studies with more than 100 students, and so many things are really very interesting. So why not to learn whilst what's the bus? Yes, so this maybe just a comment to this sitting in the bus thing is it's currently for the students that is just a normal thing because they are playing with the smartphones in any case, and the idea is much more that we provide something that they are not only playing but maybe can also learn. And we have also introduced as a mobile learning interface for the learning management system, because the students liked also to use the learning management system when they are on the move. So, how you define open regarding your open courses? The open, what we have done for the MOOCs, does it mean that that is a real kind of open education resource? And open education resource mean that you allowed as teachers to use all of, for example, this stuff. So if you provide some material to the internet, then in Middle Europe you have a very strong copyright issue. You are not allowed to take this things what I put on the internet, for example, and take it to your class. And the main issue is that also I provide CC licenses with the video, with the text files and whatever. And then you can take it as teachers and also provide it to your class and work with these things. You can show the videos and something like that. And that is our main issue. So it's not only using open education as open software, open source software. The main issue is that we provide CC licensed materials that any teacher outside, any lecturer outside can use it or in their classroom. That is the main issue about this open education resource. Is there any approach on sustainability concerning the recording of the lectures, confessing? Yes. So sometimes when we are doing these lectures for the MOOC, then we do it also on YouTube, and there it is placed, for example. Within the university, if you're making recordings, we do mainly, or the most of the recordings of the university are going not public, because there are just very fast recordings, and it's just the main idea that it's a kind of learning material for the students. There are any further questions or hints to that?
Well, from my side, because the other day we talked about mobile learning, and I also introduced people here to NFC and QR codes. And actually, we are playing a little bit around with NFC here. Do you have any, or do you know any scenario how to use NFC in the area of technology enhanced learning, besides tracking people?
Yes, so I did already a publication 1 year ago about NFC and learning, and how we can use this stuff, and we provided, I think, 6 different scenarios where it looks like and where you can use it. And the main thing is that you can put together these devices and you can exchange very fast, for example, learning materials. And our first research project was that we have, for example, these PDF files of our lecture book, and then we exchange it very fast, so that the teacher has just an NFT chip in the foreground, and he gives it around, and I put my telephone on them and get all the text files, all the lecture materials I need, for example. Or I can also a kind of polling doing this. That was also an idea to say, okay, I have to provide the answer A, B, or C, and just put this tag, for example, which kind of solution also I prefer, and something like that. So it's not only tracking. There are some things that may be a real interesting thing, but also currently also we have no real software for about it, and we have not much devices who have this NFT on board. It's the main problem.
Yeah, I'm looking around the group. Are there any questions from your side? Right now you have the chance to ask any question. Everybody gets a little bit shy, but
Maybe you could say what.
Otherwise, he continue.
Okay. Maybe you could like point out what you think are the future developments in the next years within mobile learning.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. Also, we have currently we are doing iPhone development here at the university. So it's my lecture, for example, and the main issues is of course next year the change of the programming language. So I already read it that it's going much more easier, and that means also that our students can do it in any way. That means that we will going more and more and more apps, yeah, faster and faster and faster, and the mobile learning as issues, there are many things we can address. So first of all, there will be an increase for sure in the sector of ebooks. That means that you provide your learning materials, for example, as a kind of interactive ebooks that will definitively increase, because we have not only the tablets, we have also all these e-readers, and they are coming up. Currently, so about 20% of my students also own, beside a smartphone and tablet, also an e-reader already. That means that it will increase, for example. Then we have the whole thing of the apps, of course, and I guess there are many good examples how we can address different learning objects, yeah, exactly to the mobile phones, for example, and we have already done it in a much more playful manner. That means that you can also make the game a connection to the game store, and students can play against each other and something like that. This is also the sector of game-based learning is a much increasing one. And finally, because we are dealing very often with collaborative apps, I think also there's a really big power, because I have, for example, an app that's called Math Bingo, and that means that you have, for example, an iPad. Then iPad shows you just the calculation, and you can connect to this iPad, for example, up to 4 iPhones. And then they are the bingo cards, for example. And so students can collaborate with each other with their devices, and that is a very interesting thing, because you can not only connect people, but you can also connect the devices. And we have to there are for sure many different scenarios, learning scenarios we can do on these devices, and that's a very interesting aspect, for example. So not only connecting people, connecting also their devices to each other. And so you can write with each other, you can play things with each other, and you need the other guy, for example. That is very interesting to say, okay, I cannot do it for my alone. I have to talk with the other people, and I have to do something, for example. That is, and of course also the learning, it's an aspect of learning analytics, because that means if any student is doing anything on his smartphones, we just know it, for example. We can track all the data, and we can provide data, we can interpret the data, analyze it, and provide and think much more in detail as how learning is occurring in the situation.
Talking about learning analytics, it's also a kind of dangerous thing, because if you have all the data from the learning process, how a student is learning, that's also very private, I would say, and should be kind of protected as well.
There is no advantage without any disadvantage. That is, but the main thing is, I know the risks, yeah. Of course, but the main thing is it will happen. That we know so many things already about you and your smartphones, and it will be just quite normal that we know much more in the future, and we should think about how we can use it in for the learner, and not against him.
Mm-hmm. Couple of days ago, we also talked about MOOCs, CMOOCs and XMOOCs. You're also running your own MOOC, and we discussed here a little bit about the problem to make on one hand a MOOC, but somehow it's very difficult to integrate it in some formal learning institution. How do you do that in Graz?
Yes, so we are only providing currently on our platform XMOOCs. It's just the reason is that we haven't the amount of money that, so we also provide many tutors or professors who also make a CMOOC and communicate with hundreds of people. So it's not possible currently. So we are doing more or less XMOOCs, and our main idea is a little bit different. So we are providing material. So for me, a MOOC is a kind of content machine, and I provide week for week just content. And we will also run a MOOC as now in autumn with the idea that we are the content provider and we are doing nothing. And that means that we need, for example, groups of learners, maybe with a teacher or a tutor or a trainer, who is organizing a local learning group. And he is taking, for example, exactly what we are doing in this week and just communicating, working with the people and bringing back, and so that they can learn much more. Because just providing an XMOOC and expecting that students are going better, that is nearly the same as I would give them a book, for example. There's no real difference. And that is the main problem of MOOC, that many of our heads are thinking, okay, we are just providing the material and we have to do anything more. But this is just providing content, and is providing content in a different kind of way, maybe much easier how we provide it. The thing is that we of course need this material and we can discuss about it. So this is what we have done a couple of years ago was the traditional teaching. So we have to provide all the students our content, and we do that for every year the same again and again, and we have no time to discuss with the students in much more detail. And the change is that we take this content and say, okay, students, do it at home and come to my lecture and we discuss about it. And that is changed all the didactical approaches about flipped classroom or something like that. So the main idea is that we just provide the material beforehand, and the students have to go through, because we think that is not many different to that what we'd have done in a traditional way. And then we can also organizing learning groups, discussion groups, and we make exercises about it and so on. And that is also how we currently think that we are dealing with the MOOCs. That as I also can say, okay, maybe the input of Sebastian Trun in Harvard is very, very perfect for my lecture. Just do it there and come back to me. We will discuss about the stuff.
Sounds a little bit like the flipped classroom idea.
Yeah. This is how we can change it. Yeah.
Hi, Martin. But where is the difference between your MOOCs and the usual or already known blended learning approach or LMS? I cannot see really the benefit of the way you just presented it.
Yeah. From a technical point of view, there is no difference. Yeah? But it needs this buzzword that also my rector and my chief recognized that there is more than an online course, because the online course was always was a thing of the past and we don't need it. And now we have a new buzzword, and with this buzzword, I come back and say, hey, we need MOOCs. And nowadays everyone understands it, and because the other university is also doing MOOCs, also my chief said, okay, we have to do MOOCs, without knowing exactly that it's more or less the same. So for me as e-learning researcher, I would exactly think there is no real difference. It's just an open course, more or less because of the for more users than we have done in the past. But it's just a kind of online course, yeah.
But do your iMOOCs platform, do there also learn people who are not study at your university, or are they just students? Yes. Because you track learning analytics, so you
Yeah, so we have, of course, data of the people who is coming now and doing the MOOCs, and you're right, so we opened it to the world. And for this course of e-learning, for example, we have about, I think, 45% people who are not students, who are people who are mainly working outside, and we have many, many retired people. It is very amazing that very old people are coming back and say, hey, that is a very, very interesting thing of the university, and also I'm doing this course. So you are exactly right. We are addressing with the MOOCs older the lifelong learners, much more than our own students, because our own students have a program and they have to do it, and for them that it's not very interesting if I am teaching in traditional way or as a MOOC. It's just teaching for them. Yeah?
Okay, thanks. And what about your dropout rates? That's my last question, and then I will move it.
The dropout rate is not an issue. The dropout rate, I think, we are always thinking in this kind of they have to make the whole course. have an argument against it, because we see many people who are dropping in not on the beginning of the course. They're dropping in the second or third week. They are coming and just looking for 2 or 3 issues, yeah, and they are going back. So you can't exactly say what is dropout and what not. And I think we are providing content, we are bringing knowledge to the world, and the idea is that any learner can take what he needs, or what he or she needs for his learning. That is normally not the whole course. And so the dropout is a kind of discussion, because we are thinking in higher education, and we're thinking in courses and programs. But I think we have to leave it if we are talking about MOOCs. That is not the program, the course, and it's not really interesting how many people are ending up with the assessment. It's much more interesting how often it is used, and which video is more used, and which of these video helps, for example, the learner outside.
One question from my side: do you also have some results? Because you told me once that you tried in a school in Graz to run a certain topic, or to teach a certain topic in the classical normal way, and in another class as well as in MOOC. Do you have already some results out of this project?
No, that will be done in autumn, I guess. So that the idea is here, but also we haven't finished yet.
I see. Some more questions from the group. Otherwise, I will go on and on. So. One question which comes again to mobile devices, and it was also kind of addressed in the back channel. We are talking more and more about micro-learning. And micro-learning, of course, is a completely different kind of format as the formal learning. Because in the formal learning you have a very strict rules and so on. How do you see the potential of micro-learning, and maybe even the future of micro-learning?
Yeah, how should I say it? So micro-learning happens currently now, because students are going to the lecture, they make photos of your lecture boards or whatever, they make some tweets about it and something on, and maybe they are collecting it in a very strange kind of way on Dropboxes or whatever. Though micro-learning per se is something what just happened because of these digital devices. And if you say, also I have also a Google Glass here, and you just have to say take a picture, that it's the future. That it means I say take a picture, and then I have a picture of all what I would like to have, and I'm bringing back this to also to learning, to teaching, whatever. And we are dealing with material in a complete different way as we did it 10 years ago. And that is micro-learning for me. That it means also I have different chunks, and I'm bringing these chunks for me together. And there are, of course, also programs who can do it. And I think it's also one of the main issues, but it's just happening, and it will be better, increasing dramatically in the future.
Mm-hmm. One more. Okay. Just we have one question from our colleague from Germany.
Hello, Martin. In the beginning, you mentioned in your presentation that you integrate different Web 2.0 tools in an LMS. How did you integrate this, and how did you organize that your students use all the Web 2.0 tools during lecture during the LMS, inside the LMS? Mm-hmm.
Managing from a technical background, we are using APIs or HTTP protocols or widgets. That means then mostly of all the big platforms are providing something, and we can use that and just asking them, just give me all from this group, and we display it within the learning management system. How did students manage this? That is not mainly the problem of the students. It's much more the problem of the teachers. And they are managing for example, that they're saying, I'm a lecturer using Flickr, and they're using Flickr, and the students have to upload it, and maybe the teachers also explained also how they use it. And it's not that we explain all the tools to the students, because every teacher maybe use something or something not, and the idea is maybe the teacher tells us what he is using, and we are thinking about how we can integrate it. And so it's we have no real big problems with them, because then the teacher is familiar with the tool, and students normally working with all the stuff outside, so that there is no big problem for managing anything.
Okay, thank you.
Just I will, even we have a little bit of different approach, talking about personal learning environment, because that's also somehow, you know, the discussion between learning management system versus personal learning environment. And yeah, you have your own personal learning environment at the university. How can the student adapt it to his or her needs?
Yeah, so this is an interface, and this interface have currently about more than 100 widgets and apps, or however you like to call it. And the students can exactly say which kind of widgets I like to use. And if a teacher like to use it, then he can say, maybe you should, for example, do this 5 widgets, but that is also not as a task. Each student can make his own interface and can use it in how manner he would like to use it, for example.
Are mobile devices more and more kind of personal learning environment for the future?
Of course, and we are bringing also these widgets to the mobile devices. So we also see that it's just a kind, also the desktop is also just a kind of interface. So we have different kind of interfaces where you can run all these widgets. And for example, the desktop version is our personal learning environment, and we can also bring these 3 widgets sometimes also to the mobile device. And of course, all your stuff, all what you're doing is your personal environment, and that is a very heavy thing, because as teacher you have the problem that you have to know that, for example, he's Twittering, he's Facebooking and whatever, and you have to kind of track, so you see what is the activity of a student. And if you would like to see the activity of a student, you need a kind of environment where you can track it, for example, and that is the main issue of the personal learning environment, to say, okay, I like to see what all students have done, for example.
Which bring to solve this problem, because as you said, it's quite tricky to track the personal learning environment, because it's personal. A lot of institutions go a different way and say, okay, the student has to run a portfolio, an e-portfolio. How do you see the market or the future of e-portfolios?
Yeah, also the market of e-portfolios. Also, I always believe it is a very strong one, because I'm also blogging all my life and so on. But I will shut down the environment in the next months at a technical university, because it doesn't make any sense. Also, after 6 years running a blogosphere, I just saw that no of my teachers outside really can do anything with an e-portfolio, because we are a technical university, we are full of formulas or something like that, and there is just to learn them, to exercise them, and there is no kind of to do any expressions. But there is on the other side a very big chance to other study directions, and so I see the power, and so it's very interesting. We have also architecture, for example. For architecture, so e-portfolios is a kind of thing that they have done already in the beginning of the web. And so I see also real power. The main problem, as you mentioned before, was if one e-portfolio is just I just see what he has done, and of course very interesting for us, and this is the learning analytics part, is also what kind of activities, but it's also interesting what kind of stuff he was reading and so on, and we also would like to track this implicitly to see really the activity of a student, and that can also only be done if he is in a kind of an environment that's issued about it.
Do you have a good answer, even that's a tricky question, but do you have a good answer for giving marks based on e-portfolio?
A real good answer not, but we have one study done where we track, so where we have students we have done learning in a traditional way, and we have students who have done an e-portfolio, and the result was that the students who did this e-portfolio was increasingly better than on the statistical side, performed much better than the students who did it in a traditional way. But that's the explanation is rather simple, because they have to think much more about the content every week, for example, than in a traditional way.
I just want to go one step back to your view on personal learning environments, because I'm somehow confused and somehow afraid the way you see it, because you offer it as a framework for students in which you offer widgets or apps, however you call it, and you track it, to the point what is used and what is not used. So I was wondering, or I just put a question to myself: how does it to what does it lead if you track the activities in a personal learning environment? Then to me it's somehow, there will be no learning personal learning environments anymore if you do it like that, because then you will after a while put the widgets off because they're not used or something like that. And to me it's somehow weird that you put the personal learning environment into a formal framework.
Yes, it doesn't matter if you think of this personal learning environment. We have there are many different tools outside who can do exactly the same. The idea is, also, if you go to learning analytics and to see a part of this learning analytics, then it is a kind of tracking. That means the main problem is if you don't, for example, know what people are doing on Twitter, on Facebook, or on any other social media platform, then you can you have to a kind of activity profile. Then you see, okay, as the students, for example, has an activity profile who is very engaged, and this makes sense because you have also a very engaged in e-portfolios, whatever. And if people are losing the engagement, for example, you can just simply say, okay, there is no engagement, then I have to take a look. I have to take a look what is happening there. Is have no time. He just making a dropout or whatever, and you can, for example, try to engage him again and something like that. So it's not only about. So we would not like to track exactly if what does he tweet, and we wouldn't like to do to every tweet. So we just make activity profiles, and activity profiles need all your activities, of course, because otherwise it does not make sense. Back to me again, so we are currently not running in such way, but I have many research projects who are exactly doing this. Yeah, although not my research project, but I know about that.
Okay, yeah, but to me it still seems somehow artificial, and still worry about it.
Yeah, some more questions. Well, I'm afraid we could talk for hours, but probably that we will do another time. I would like to thank you once again that you joined us, and it was very nice to hear you and to talk to you. And yeah, I'm looking forward. I guess we will meet somewhere again soon, because we all the time meet somewhere at some conferences. I guess you are going to Berlin to the Open Educational Resources Conference in September.
No, but before it's a GMW in Zurich.
Ah, yeah, exactly, about learning rooms or something like that as well. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much for giving all us this information and content, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hear you. And maybe I will also spread out once again your Twitter feed and so on, because you are very active, so people can see what you're doing.
Just contact me in any case, and if you have a question, also feel free to contact me. Yeah. And have a nice week, or how long it takes now, this course. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, and greetings to Graz. Bye-bye.